Good day everyone. We're here to talk about the work study, time and motion study. And the chapter outline of this topic is Introduction, Productivity, Work Study, Method Study, Motion Study, and Work Measurement. So let's talk about productivity. It is refers to doing the work in short possible time with at least expenditure on the input without sacrificing quality and with minimum waste of resources. Work study aims at improving the existing and proposed ways of doing work and establishing standard times for work performance. Next is work study is composed by two techniques, the method study and the work measurement. Method study is the systematic recording and critical examination of existing and proposed ways of doing work as a means of developing and applying easier and more effective methods and reducing cost. And the work measurement is the application or a technique designed to establish the time for a qualified worker to carry out a specific job and a defined level or performance. Next is the close link between method study and work measurement. Method study. It is the concern with the reduction of the work content, establishing the one best way of doing the job. And the work measurement is concerned with investigation and reduction of any ineffective time associated with the job and establish time standard for an operation carried out as per the standard method. Next is productivity. It is the quantitative relation between what we produce and what we use as a resource to produce them. This refers to the efficiency of the production system. It is the concept that guides the management of the production system. It is an indicator to how well the factors of the production are utilized. It is an attitude of a mind. It is a mentality of progress, of the constant improvement of what exists. Productivity can be expressed as productivity equals to output over input. Next is major problem in productivity with many people like economists, managers, and engineers. Economists determine it from the gross national product. Managers view it as a cost-cutting and speed-up. Engineers think of it as in terms of more output per hour. There are two categories influencing productivity, the internal factors and the external factors. And internal factors has 7 categories: the product factor, plant and equipment, technology, material and energy, human factor, work methods, and management style. Product factor, the extent to which the product meets output requirements products is judged by its useful. Plant and equipment, this play a prominent role in enhancing the productivity. The increased availability of the plant through proper maintenance and reduction of idle time increase the productivity. Next is technology. Innovated, the latest technology improves productivity to the greater extent. Automation and information technology helps to achieve improvement in material handling, storage, communication system, and quality control. And there are 6 aspects of technology factors to be considered. First is size and the capacity of the plant. Second, timely supply and quality of inputs. Third, production planning and control. Fourth, repairs and maintenance. Fifth is waste reduction. And lastly is efficient material handling system. Next is material and energy. Efforts to reduce materials and energy consumption brings about considerable improvement in productivity. Next is human factors. Productivity is basically depend on human skills. Ability to work efficiently is governed by various factors such as education, training, experience, aptitude of the employee. Motivation of employees will be influence productivity. And the next one is work methods, improving the ways in which the work is done. Improves productivity, work study, and industrial engineering techniques and training are the areas which improve the work methods, which in turn enhance the productivity. Next is management style. This influence the organizational design, communication in organization, policy and procedures. A flexible and a dynamic management style is a better approach to achieve higher productivity. Now let's talk about external factors influencing productivity. First is structural adjustment. Structural adjustment include both economic and social changes. Economic changes that influence significantly are shift in employee from agriculture to manufacturing industry, import of technology, industrial competence. Social changes such as women participation in labor force, education, cultural values, attitude are some of the factors that play significant role in the improvement of the productivity. Second, natural resources, manpower, land, and raw materials are vital to the productivity improvement. Next is government and infrastructure. Government policies and programs are significant to the productivity practice of government agency, transport and communication power. Fiscal policies influence productivity to the greater extent. Next is partial productivity measures or PPM. It is depending upon the individual input partially. Productivity means are expressed as partial productivity equals to total output over individual output, and the labor productivity is total output over labor input. Capital productivity, total output over capital input. Material productivity, total output over material input. And lastly, energy productivity, total output over energy input. The major disadvantage of partial productivity measure is that there is an overemphasis on one input factor to the extent to the other input are underestimated or even ignored. First is technology based, and there are two aid under the technology based, the computer aid design and the computer aid manufacturing. Computer aid design, it is refers to the design of the product, process, or system with the help of computers. Advantage of CAD on human productivity: speed of evaluation of alternative design, minimization of risks and functions, and error of reduction. This computer aid manufacturing is a very much useful design and control the manufacturing. It helps to achieve the effectiveness in production system by line balancing. Next technique is employee based, and there are 6 under of it. First is financial and non-financial incentives at individual and group level. Second is employee promotion. Third is job design, job enlargement, job enrichment, and job rotation. Fourth is worker participation in decision making. Fifth is quality circle and small group activities. Third is personal development. The next technique is material based, and there are 5 under of it. First is material planning and control. Second is purchasing and logistics. Third is material storage and retrieval. Fourth is source selection and procurement of quality material. And lastly is waste elimination. Next is process based, and there are 3 under of it. The first is method engineering and work simplification. Second, job design, evaluation, and job safety. Third is human factor engineering. The next technique is product based. First, value analysis and value engineering. Second, product diversification. Third, standardization and simplification. Fourth, reliability and engineering. And lastly, product mix and promotion. And the last technique is task based, and there are 5 under of it. The first is management style. Second, communication in the organization. Third, work culture. Fourth, motivation. Fifth is promotion group activity. Now, let's define what is work study. Work study is a generic term for those techniques, method study, and work measurement which are used in the examination of human work in all its contexts, and it means of enhancing the productivity of the firm by elimination of the waste and unnecessary preparation, and it is a technique to identify the non-value adding operation by investigating all the factors affecting the job. And it is the only accurate and systematic procedure-oriented technique to establish time standard. And method study and work measurement is part of work study. Part of method study is the motion study. Work measurement is also called by the name time study. Method study and work measurement is a part of work study. Part of method study is motion study and work measurement. It is also called by the name time study. Advantages of work study. It helps to achieve the smooth production flow with minimum interruption. It helps to reduce the cost of the product by eliminating waste and unnecessary operation. Better worker management relationship, meets the delivery commitment, reduction in rejection and scrap, and higher utilization of resources of the organization. Helps to achieve better working condition, better workplace layout, improve upon the existing process or methods, and help in the standardization and simplification, and helps to establish the standard time for an operation or the job has got application in manpower planning, production planning. Now let's define what is method study. Method study enables the industrial engineer to subject each operation to systematic analysis. It also involves the breakdown of an operation or procedure into its components, elements, and their systematic analysis. And it is also called method engineering or design method engineering. And it's used to describe collection of analysis technique which is focused improving the effectiveness of man and machine. Method study man should have the desire and determination to produce result, ability to achieve result, and understanding of human factors involved. Method study scope lies in improving work methods through process and operation analysis such as manufacturing operation and their sequence, workmen, materials and tools, layout of physical facilities and workstation design, movement of men and material handling, and work environment. Objective of method study. Method study is essentially concerned with finding better ways of doing things. It adds value and increases efficiency by eliminating unnecessary operation, avoidable delays, and other form of waste. The improvement of efficiency is achieved through improved layout and design of workplace, improved and efficient work procedure, effective utilization of man, machine, and material, improved design of specification of the final product. The objective of method study techniques are present and analyze the true facts of concerning the situation, to examine those facts critically, to develop the best answer possible under given the circumstances based on the critical examination of facts. Scope of method study. It's not restricted to only manufacturing industry. Method study techniques can be applied effectively in service sector as well. It can be applied in office, hospitals, banks, and other service organizations. Areas to which method study can be applied successfully in manufacturing are to improve work methods and procedure, determine the best sequence of doing work, smoothen materials flow with minimum of backtracking, and to improve layout, to improve the working condition and hence to improve labor efficiency, to reduce monotony in the work, to improve plant utilization and material utilization, elimination of waste and unproductive operation, to reduce the manufacturing costs through the reducing of cycle of operation. Job is selected such as the proposed method achieve one or more of the following results: improvement in quality with lesser scrap, increased production through better utilization of resources, elimination of unnecessary operation and movement, improved layout leading to smooth flow of material and balanced production line, improved working condition.
Consideration for selection of method study. First is the economic aspect. It is involved cost and time if sufficient returns are not attained. The whole exercise will go waste, thus the money spent should be justified by the saving from it. The following guidelines can be used for the selection of job. The bottleneck operation, which are holding up other production operation. Preparation involving excessive labor. Operation producing lot of scrap or defectives. Operation having poor utilization of resources and backtracking of materials and excessive movement of materials. Next is technical aspects. Select a job in which he has the technical knowledge and expertise. A person selecting a job in areas of expertise is going to do full justice. Other factors which favor selection in technical aspects are jobs having consistent quality, operation generating lots of scrap, frequent complaints from workers regarding to the job. And lastly is the human consideration. It means has a change at is going to affect the way in which the job is done presently, and it's not fully accepted by the workman and the union. Human consideration plays a vital role in method study. These are some of the situations where the human aspect should be given due importance. Work complaining about necessary trimming work, more efficient of accident, and inconsistent earning. Recording techniques for method study are very much useful to make before and after comparison to assess the effectiveness of the proposed improved method. This designed to simplify and standardize the recording work. For this purpose, charts and diagrams are used. Charts used in method study. It is the most popular method of recording the facts. The activity comprising the jobs are recorded using method study symbol. These charts are used to measure the movement of the operation work. First is adequate description of the activity. Second is whether the charting is for present or proposed method. Third is specific reference to the when and the activities will begin the end. Fourth is time and distance scales used wherever necessary. Fourth is the date of charting and the name of the person who does charting. Types of charts. Macro motion charts are used for macro motion study, and micro motion charts are used for micro motion study. Following four charts are used under this type. First is operation process chart or outline process chart. Gives the bird's eye view of the whole process by recording only the major activities and inspection involved in the process. Operation process chart is helpful to visualize the complete sequence of the operation and inspection in the process. Know where the operation selected for detailed study fits into the entire progress. And lastly, in operation process chart, the graphic representation of the points at which materials are introduced into the process and what operation and inspection are carried on them and shown. Next is flow process chart. Gives the sequence of the flow of the work of product or any part of it through the work center or the department recording the events using appropriate symbol. However, there are three types of process chart: the material type, and man type, and equipment type. Material type, which shows the event that occurred, the material. The man type, activity performed by the man. Equipment type, how equipment is used. The flow process chart is useful to reduce the distance traveled by man, to avoid waiting time, the necessary delay, to reduce the cycle time by combining the elimination operation, to fix up the sequence operation, and to relocate the inspection stages. Next is multiple activity chart. It is a chart where activities is more than subject are each recorded in a common time scale. To show the interrelationship, multiple activity chart is made. To study ideal time of the man and machines, to determine the number of machines handled by one operator, to determine the number of operations required the teamwork to perform the given job. Next is 200 process chart. is the most detailed type of flowchart in which the activities of the worker's hands are recorded in relation to another. It also gives the synchronized and graphical representation of the sequence of the manual activities of the worker. The application charts are to visualize the complete sequence of the activity in the repetitive task to study the workstation and layout.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, sir. I am Jujin Pagal, and I will be continuing the report of Group 7, which is the work study. The first part is reported by Mr. Palada, and my task is to discuss the flow diagram. So, flow diagram is a drawing of the working area showing the location of the various activities identified by their number symbols and are associated with particular flow process chart, either man type or machine type. Following are the procedures to make the flow diagram. First, the layout of the workplace is drawn to scale. Second, relative position of the machine tools, work benches, storage and inspection. Benches are marked on the scale. Path followed by the subject under study is tracked by drawing lines. Its movement is serially numbered and indicated by arrow for direction. Different colors are used to denote different types of movements. So flowchart, it is very important. Flowchart provides a step-by-step description of the process using standardized symbols connected by line and arrows that illustrate the relationships between steps. This diagram or chart is very useful, especially if in the production we encountered problems. So it is easy to trace those problems using the flow chart, which is using the flow chart. Next is string diagram. String diagram is a scale layout drawing on which length of string is used to record the extent as well as the pattern of movement of a worker working with a limited area during a certain period of time. Is to produce a record of existing set of conditions so that the job of seeing what is actually taking place is made as simple as possible. The most valuable features of the string diagram is the actual distance traveled during the period of study, to be calculated by relating the length of the thread used for the scale of drawing. Following are the procedures to draw string diagram. First, a layout of the workplace or factory is drawn to scale on the soft board. Pins are fixed into boards to mark the locations of workstations. Pins are also driven at the turning points of the routes. A measured length of the threads is taken to trace the movements. The distance covered by the object is obtained by measuring the remaining part of the thread and subtracting it from original length. So string diagram, if we talk about string diagram, it is a special type of flow diagram, generally drawn when the paths are many and repetitive and flow diagram. So unlike sa flow diagram, which is a step-by-step process, in a string diagram, it is used especially when the process is repeat daghan or ang agian niya is daghan or repetitive or balik-balik lang. So para mas makuanan siya, nagamit og mga strings nga, like for example sa usa ka process, igabot nimo sa third process, kinahanglan ka mo balik sa first process para makuha siya. Then moadto ka sa 6. Then yun na siya ang string diagram. Next is symbols used in method study. So please refer to the PowerPoint or in the textbooks that is being provided. The symbols of operation, inspection, transportation, delay, and storage. Method study is very important to eliminate unnecessary operations and to achieve the best method of performing the operation that is used to describe collection of analysis techniques which focus on improving the effectiveness of men and machines. So in this part, method study is a collection of techniques. So para gamit niya siya for efficiency purposes, para mas madali ito ang mas easier and efficient and production. So an operation occurs when an object is intentionally changed in one or more of its characteristics. The main steps in a process, method, or procedure are turning, drilling, milling, lifting, loading, and unloading. So, inspection occurs when an object is examined and compared with standards for quality and quantity. The inspection examples are visual observations for finish, count quantity, reward inspection, and inspect sa workplace. Then in a production area, there is always what we call as QC, or the quality control, that will inspect the quality of a product if it will pass this standard. Transportation. A transport indicates the movement of workers, materials, or equipment from one place to another. The word transportation is all about transporting a certain materials from one place to another. So, then delay, temporary storage. A delay occurs when the immediate performance of the next plan things does not take place. Example, work waiting between consecutive operations, workers waiting a tool. For example, in a certain operation, na ay nakuwang tools sa paghimo. So, we can have a delay, or an operator's waiting for instructions from supervisor initiative. So, storage, when the object is kept in authorized custody and is protected against unauthorized removal. For example, materials kept in stores to be distributed to various works. Word storage, sa gikip ng mga materials. Process chart for making a cheese sandwich. Please refer to the PowerPoint, the process. So, process chart, by the way, represent the sequence of operations to be performed on a component. It gives a bird's eye view of various operations and inspections, and in sequence for all components that go into a particular product or assembly. So, process descriptions ato dire. The first is sa illustration. First, distance is 10 meters. The symbol is transportation, or arrow that is transportation. Kimove niya, kuha siya sa materials nga kinahanglan, gidaan niya ito sa cabinet. Then the next is the operation. Get loaf of bread, remove 2 slices of bread, lay slices in countertop, close, replace, open. Then after the inspection niya, sandwich, okay diba? Then the transport balik, move to serving area, then serve sandwich. The following chart is one possible solution. The labor data process chart depends upon the requirements of the job. Time is often included to aid analysis of value added. An illustration to develop a multiple activity chart for doing 3 loads of laundry. As shown, you will have one washing machine and 1 dryer. Okay. So, multiple activity chart. It is using a time scale, a process using a time scale. It is very useful tool for understanding the flow of work in a cyclical process. Cyclical means balik-balik lang, and as a consequence, understanding which resource in controlling the overall progress of the work. So in the illustration given, an operator first he will do a 3 loads rather, and a washing machine. First, nagload siya. The washing machine was being loaded. Then, ni-stop siya. Ang machine to dryer, wala siya nag-function. Then, ang nigiran, pagsunod. Then, ang dryer is wala gyapon. Stop lang gyapon. Then, after that, pagkahuman sa time, i-unload niya. Then, ang dryer, wala gyapon function. Then, pagka mag-unload, iyang giload dito sa dryer. Then, pagkahuman na ni, nagload na po siya balik. Same, cyclical, balik-balik daw. So, iyang gihimo, nagload, ang dryer is wala nag-function. Nagpaabot nga mahuman ang time. Then, pagkahuman, gi-unload. Then, adto na sad sa dryer. Micromotion study chart. Micromotion study chart study provides a technique for recording a timing and activity. It is set of techniques intended to divide the human activities in a groups of movement or micromotions. So, micromotion study is one of the most accurate techniques of work analysis used for work improvement. It makes use of motion pictures of different activities and movement, so with the help of camera. So, kani siya micromotion chart. Ang tanan na lihok sa production is gi-record or gi-film. Its other application includes as an aid in studying the activities of 2 or more persons in a group work, as an aid in studying the relationship of the activities of the operator and the machine as a means of timing operations, as an aid in obtaining motion time data for standards, acts as permanent record of the method and time of activities of the operator and the machine. So, purpose of the micromotion study chart. First is to study the nature and path of movements for obtaining the elements of an operation. So, gistudihan ang iyahang movements. Second is to study the activities of the machine and the operator. So, lihok sa operator and sa machine. The next, to study the relationship between the activities of operator and the machine. So the advantage of micromotion start, it provides a permanent record of motion study on films. So ang production, gi-record siya through films or camera ang flow para if ever na ay makalimtan na sila ay mahimong sundanan or they can refer to the recorded film. Galbraith differentiated 17 fundamental hand and eye motions. Its turblegs has a special color, symbol, and letter for recording purposes. Our micromotion study involves the following steps. First, filming the operation to be studied. Analysis of the data from the film. SIMO chart is a recording technique for micromotion study. It is the micromotion form of the multi-flow process chart. The table point 7 shows example of a SIMO chart symbols. Principles of motion study. Concerning the economy of movements which have been developed as a result of experience and which forms the basis for the development of improved methods at the workplace. The principles are grouped into 3 headings. A. Use of the human body. When possible, the 2 hands should begin and complete their movements at the same time. Second, the 2 hands should not be idle at the same time except during periods of rest. Motions of the arms should be made simultaneously. Hand and body motions should be made at the lowest classification at which it possible to do the work satisfactorily. Momentum should be employed to help the worker but should be reduced to a minimum whenever it has to be overcome by muscular effort. 6. Continuous curve movements are to be preferred to straight line motions involving sudden and changes in directions. So, use of human body, it is all about the movement of the body, the movement of the body of the person doing the task. B is arrangement of workplace. Definite and fixed stations should be provided for all tools and materials to permit habit formation. Tools and materials should be pre-positioned to reduce searching. Gravity feed bins and containers should be used to deliver the materials as close to the point of use possible. From the word arrangement of a workplace, so most companies use a standard operation, which is what we call as the 5S. The 5S, using 5S, imuha na siya gi-segregate ang mga materials na kinahanglan para ang work is efficient, continuous ang operation. C. Design of tools and equipment. So when you said about design of tools and equipment, the color of the workplace should contrast with that of work and thus reduce eye fatigue. The hand should be relieved of all work of holding the work piece where this can be done by a jig or fixture or foot operated device. 2 or more tools should be combined where possible, where each finger performs some specific movement. As in a typewriting, the load should be distributed in accordance with the inherent capacities of the fingers. Handles such as those used on screwdrivers and cranks should be designed to permit maximum surface of the hand to come in contact with the handle. Levers, crossbars, and wheel bars should be in such position that the operator can manipulate them with least body change and with greatest mechanical advantage. So from the word design tools of equipment, choosing the right, it means choosing the right tools for the right work. Like for example, sa paghimo o let's take for example in a production of chair, so instead nga mogamit sa paglansang or gamit screw, naggamit lang ka og kining instead of using star screw na dapat kay ang iyahang screw is good for stars screw, ang imong nagamit is flat screw. So para mas efficient ang trabaho, you will use the star screw instead of flat screw. Recording techniques of motion study, it is already being discussed earlier. First, macro motion study, this is composed of blue process chart, two-handed process chart. And micro motion study is the SIMO chart. Work measurement. Work measurement is also called by the name time study. Work measurement is absolutely essential for both the planning and control of operations. Without measurement data, we cannot determine the capacity of facilities, or it's not possible to quote delivery dates or cost. Objectives of work measurement. First, a basis for incentives is only a small part of its total application. The objectives of work measurement are to provide sound basis for first, comparing alternative methods, assessing the correct initial planning and control, realistic costing, financial incentive schemes, delivery date of goods, cost reduction and cost control, identifying substandard workers, training new employees. Techniques of work measurement. Repetitive work. The type of work in which the main operation or group of operations repeat continuously during the time spent at the job. The work cycles are extremely short duration. This type of work can align sa production nga balik-balik lang. Like for example, in one department, ang ilang gihimo is ang in a chair production, ang ilang lang gihimo is the kining sa tiilang part. So in that day, ang ilang haragin production is nag-base lang sa leg sa chair. Non-repetitive work, it includes some type of maintenance and construction work where the work cycle itself is hardly ever repeated identically. From the word non-repetitive work, dili na siya pwede osbon. Like for example, in example sa kanang pag finishing na sa pagkahuman na. So once nahimo na siya, nahimo na siya ang usa ka bangko, natauran na nimo og napolsterihan na siya. Then nasayop di ayang dito sa tiil niya. So dili na siya pwedeng imo pang balikon. So maghimo gid ka, start gid ka sa uno. Then various techniques of work measurement are time study. Stopwatch technique, measuring the time through stopwatch is called time study. Word stopwatch nag-record na to ang works production. Synthesis, a work measurement technique for building up the time for a job or funds of the job of defined level of performance by totaling element times obtained previously from time studies on other jobs containing the elements concerned or from synthetic data. Work sampling, a technique in which a large number of observations are made over a period of time of one or group of machines, processes, or workers. Work sampling, try lang siya, dili siya final. For example, kaning mura siya o research, nag-conduct siya research or gihimo na gi-produce na nila, then para ma-perfect ang usa ka product. Like for example, COVID-19 vaccine, where daghan siya based nga giagian para makuan gid ang iyahang makuha gid ang sakto nga tambal. Analytical estimating, a work measurement technique being a development of estimating whereby the time required to carry out elements of a job at a defined level of performance estimated partly from knowledge and practical experience of the elements concerned and partly from synthetic data. From the word analytical, so ni turo conduct siya turo research, i-analyze gid siya. Steps in making time study. They are economical for repetitive type of work. Steps in taking the time study are composed of the following. Select the work to be studied. Obtain a record all the information available about the job, the operator and the working conditions like to affect the time study work. Break down the operation into elements. Measure the time by means of a stopwatch taken by operator to perform its element of the operations. At the same time, assess the operator's effective speed of work relative to observe a concept of normal speed. Adjust the observed time by a rating factor to obtain normal time for its element. Add the suitable allowances to compensate for fatigue, personal needs, contingencies. Compute allowed time for the entire job by adding elemental standard times, considering frequency of occurrence of its element. Make a detailed job description describing the method for which the standard time. Test and review standard wherever necessary. Computation of standard time. Computation standard time is the time allowed to an operator to carry out a specified task under specified conditions and defined level of performance. Like for example, ang usa ka bangko gihimo in a production for a person, kaya na siya buhaton in 4 hours. So in let us say 4 hours or 1 hour makaya na ang usa ka chair. So in a whole day makaya niya makahimo og 8 chairs. Thus, the basic constituents of standard time are elemental, observed time, performance, rating to compensate for difference in pace of working, relaxation allowance, interference and contingency allowance, policy allowance. Just refer guys table the process. First, select the job to be timed unsa nga klase sa trabaho. Then define the elements, break the job into elements convenient for timing asa may mangita kag asa nga paagi ang mas dali. Then obtain and record details regarding method, operator, job and working. Then i-record mo for para ma-refer nimo in the next work or asa mas efficient. Extend observed time into normal time, basic time. Measure time duration for each element and assess the rating. Next, compute standard time for the operation for defined job. Compute nimo kung pila gid ang pilay oras nga gikinahanglan sa anang trabaho. Then determine relaxation and personal allowances. Allowances must also be made to enable the worker to attend to his personal needs. The word allowances kaning mga break time na sa usa ka empleyado. Relaxation allowance is addition to the basic time intended to provide the worker with the opportunity to recover from physiological and psychological effects of carrying out specific work under specified conditions and to allow attention to personal needs. Two types of relaxation allowance. First, personal needs allowance. It is intended to compensate the operator for the time necessary to leave the workplace to attend to personal needs like drinking water, smoking, washing hands. Women require longer personal allowance than men. A fair personal allowance is 5% for men and 7% for women. Mas taas gid ang time sa babae kay ang babae daghan pa man sila sa ilang kaugalingon. Then allowance for basic fatigue. This allowance is given to compensate for energy expended during working. A common figure considers allowance as 4% of basic time. Kanang makita nimo nga dili na siya this one effective sa trabaho, medyo luya na, so tagaan na to siya o tagaan siya o break kadiyot lang gamay. Variable allowance is allowed to an operator who is working under poor environmental conditions that cannot be improved. Added stress and strain in performing the job is added to the fixed allowance to an operator who is engaged in medium and heavy work and working under abnormal conditions. For example, na yung mga sa init ka iron na trabaho na kapoy na kayo, tanawan mo singot kayo, So kinahanglan sila og pahawayon sa kanya. Interference allowance. This allowance is applicable for machine or process controlled jobs. Varies in proportion to number of machines assigned to the operator. The interference of machine increase the work content. Kini siya kuan sa machine na kung continuous ang trabaho sa machine or ang under sa machine, so there is a possibility nga hinay na niya ang production, so papahawayan siya. Contingency allowance is a small allowance of time which may be included in a standard time to meet legitimate unexpected items of work or release. Some of the examples calling for contingency allowance are tool breakage involving removal of tool from the holder and all other activities to insert new tool in the tool holder. Kini siya contingency allowance. Kanina ni siya, for example, sa machine, nagamit siya pump belt. So, kuha naman siya, there's possibility nga mahunong ang operation kay nagguba ang makina tungod sa walang mailising part, so mano siyang ilisan siya in advance. Power failures of small duration, obtaining the necessary tools and gauge from central tool store. Contingency allowance should not exceed 5%. Then policy allowance are not the genuine part of the time study and should be used with utmost care and only in clear defined circumstances. So gamiton lang ni siya kung gikinahanglan yun. Usual reason for making the policy allowance is to line up standard times with requirements of wage agreement between employers and trade unions. Dahil na mga conflict between employee and employers, sometimes made as a perfect function of the division or part of a plant. Illustration, assuming that the total observed time for an operation of assembling an electric switch is 1 minute. So if the rating is 120%, find normal time. If an allowance of 10% is allowed for the operation, determine the standard time. So the solution for subsist time is 1 minute. Rating 120%, allowance 10. So as we know that normal time equals observed time times rating over 100. So 1 times 120 times 120 divide 100 equals 1 hour and 20 minutes. The allowance of 10%, so 1.2 times 10, 12 minutes ang allowance. So standard time, normal time plus allowances, 1 hour and 20 minutes plus 12 is 1 hour and 32 minutes. Illustration 2. An operator manufactures 50 jobs in 6 hours in 30 minutes. 6 hours and 30 minutes. In this time includes the time of sitting his machine. So calculate the operator's efficiency. Standard time allowed for the job was yung pag-sit sa machine is about 35 minutes. Production time per piece 8 minutes. So kung 50, so solution as a standard time the solution will be standard time equals sit up time plus time per piece times number of pieces produced. So sit up time is 35 plus the 8 minutes production, then multiplied by 50 is equals to 435 minutes. If you convert into hours, equals to 7 hours and 15 minutes standard. Efficiency of the operator to compute standard times 100 over actual time. So 435 times 100 over 390, 111. The answer is 111.5% ang iyahang efficiency. Illustration 3. Following data were obtained by a work study manned from study conducted by ours. So just refer guys atong sa PowerPoint, and also illustration 4. Find out the standard time using the following data. Average time for machines 6 minutes. Average time for manual elements 4 minutes. Performance rating 110%. Allowances 10%. So normal time equals machinery time plus manual time times rating. So 6 plus 4 times 110. You convert it in a decimal. So 110, it will become 1.1. 6 plus 4.4 equals 10.4 minutes. Standard time equals normal time plus allowances. So 10.4 plus 10.4 times 10, the answer would be over 100. The answer would be 11.44